Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you guys?
So good.
We're so good.
Yeah, I'm on the couch. I'm good.
I'm excited for this interview because this is the first time that we've had like a client and their coach and me doing some sort of interview, which is really exciting to me.
So excited.
I'm so pumped. So everyone tuning in, this is Hansson. Wave, Hansson. She is a Blush client, and she's actually Callie, our founder's client. So it's going to be a really cool interview for everybody today. We're going to just talk a little bit about Hansson and their relationship and the process and life coaching, all of the good things. So let's start out. Hansson, will you just tell us like a little bit about yourself, like what you do, where you live, all of like the cool things?
So I am an artist. I live in New York City. I'm from Australia. I've been in the States for like 10 years now. And about 6 years ago, I hit up Callie for coaching. It's been a long time. We're just realizing.
I know. We were thinking about it. I was like, I was saying it. I always remember when a client joined based off what apartment I was in, and I was like, ooh. Hansson joined during the scary days. I like didn't have. Oh, anyway, moving on. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
That's so cool to like 6 years is a long time to really like be with each other through like all of these different stages of life, years, and just like experiences. So I'm really excited to kind of like see what you guys have all worked through with the
so much.
I'm sure. So why don't we start from like the very beginning, Hansson? Tell us like what brought you to Blush? Why did you join? What kind of made you reach out and seek out some coaching?
I think I was just, I don't know, like I just needed something. I needed something that was rooted in like a more feminine energy mainly, because like a lot of the coaching that I'd had previously was like all men, and men are like, some of the energy when it comes to coaching from men is like, get it done, do it really fast and hard, and no. And like with Callie, I was just like, I need some help with like my friendships and shit. You know, like I just need some help figuring out like parts of my life.
Yeah, I totally get that. I totally resonate.
And I think it was more just to like sort the personal aspects of myself out, because I was getting coaching elsewhere that was like more business focused, or like, you know, focused more on like the things I was doing and stuff like that, not necessarily like how I was thinking or how I was feeling. And so it more came from a place of, all right, well, I have like that stuff, which is like practical and like masculine and and then with Callie, it sort of started as like, right, I just need a place to like talk stuff out and like figure out my thoughts and things like that.
Yeah, like a sounding board, someone that just understands and can like empathize with you. I totally get that.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, 6 years ago, I do feel like the coaching world was very male dominated. I mean, you thought about like CEOs and founders and things like that. Like it was all corner office suites, men getting like, like, you know, Hansson said like, just do it
and shit like that. And I'm just like,
right.
I just couldn't operate like that all the time either. And like, this is something that I actually figured out with Callie is like, I really like, I sort of went from thinking I was extrovert to finding out that I'm introvert, and like what that kind of like what I actually needed for myself to feel more comfortable in myself. And the masculine side of things was so like domineering and aggressive and extroverted and all this, and I just don't operate like that. So it was just a very like, Callie really forced me to like reflect on stuff and step back from things and like, all right, so what does this actually feel like? What is happening here?
It sounds like kind of like coming into your own and really like figuring out who you are and what you want. And I love that part of the process. I think that's so important, especially in just like the world these days. We just What did you hope to get out of the process? Like, did you have any idea of kind of like what you were getting into, or like what did you really hope to accomplish out of your work together?
I didn't even like set a goal or anything. I just knew that I needed something, and instinctually was like, all right, I'm just gonna like give this a crack and see where it goes, kind of thing. And I never really got sick of it. And I really loved being able to use like the journaling function. And I really, and just to like check in with someone without it feeling like a heavy therapy session or a heavy kind of like, oh boy, you know, we're going to dig into it today. It's like, I think, you know, and I have had times where I've had to like bring really heavy stuff to Callie, but it's just more that like there's someone there that's constant and able to kind of, and especially because we've been together for so long now, it's like I'll bring something to Callie or I'll be like, oh, well, I, you know, blah, 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 blah. And Callie be like, wait, what was that? Hang on a minute. Like, did you like, wait, say that again.
I'm like, no.
So like,
stop talking. Nope.
Yeah. Understanding my own behaviors and maybe some of my like habits and behaviors that get me into trouble or not get me into trouble, but just kind of like patterns that I repeat that aren't either healthy or, you know, I'm Australian, so I'm super casual about stuff. And I have a very like optimistic disposition, especially about people. And sometimes that trips me up. And so when something happens and I'll be like, oh yeah, Callie, like blah, blah, blah. She'll be like, wait, what? Say, what happened?
Mm-hmm.
What was that? Can we just go over that? Let's go over it and back over it and over it and back over it again so that we understand what this actually is.
Yeah, like a totally new perspective that like just allows you to see things in a different way that maybe you wouldn't have if you weren't.
Exactly. Right. Yeah.
It's also a form of protection. I mean, I think a lot of our relationship is me feeling the need to protect her because she is an artist. She is doing stuff that's going to change the world. She is unique. She is special. And because of that, people are so drawn to her and want that energy. And I'm like, no. Like, we are going to protect this at all costs because this is what you have to give. Yeah. And so if everyone feels like they're entitled to it, what's left for you to do? Where are you going to spend your energy? Is your craft going to be as good as you want it to be? So it was a lot of that. And that's why, I mean, you know, Hansson was all my clients are my favorite, but you know what I mean? Like she did come to me being like, this is not a goal-driven thing for me, which is okay. And I think that a lot of people need to realize that is that coaching does have this mystique of like, you always have to have a goal, but the reality is like, her goal was just to be healthy and balanced and get to know herself better and productive. Like a lot of it is also productivity, but not in the way that you think it is. Not like crossing stuff off a list, but just making sure that your whole aura, your whole schedule, your whole whatever is just
like the well-being of it.
Right.
Really. Because then I can like, it's so crazy too, because like every time I sort of like get over one of those humps, it's like everything clears up and then like my productivity is better and you know, like we just got a feature for this video and it's like, oh cool, like I'm on fire when I've cleared out all the stuff that, you know, is weighing me down, and usually it's stuff that's subconscious to me, and I'm learning more and more about how to like identify those things and like be really clear on them, because I definitely, you know, let a lot of things slide in my early 20s and with my career and personally and professionally, and you know, like I sort of grew up thinking that that's what you're supposed to do, and I'm an eldest child, so I just, you know, I instinctually take care and make sure that everybody else is fine around me without checking in with myself. And so, you know, I've dug through a lot of that sort of stuff with Callie's help, or with Callie like ahead of me, like shining a light, going, all right, well, what's that and what's that and what's that.
Oh, and how many songs have you written this year?
So many. Probably,
oh my gosh,
like over 40, 50, I think. Yeah,
she worked so hard. Like 2020 obviously was just like a dumpster fire, and I don't want to preach that like 2020 was only a success if you like made it worth it and took advantage of the time to create, because that's not true. A lot of people just really needed to survive.
Listen, it's a success if you can wake up every day in this year. Like that's a huge success. Yeah.
But I will say that Hansson did write like a million songs.
Yeah, man. I had the time. I just had the time.
Yeah. Well, you also had the mental energy, which was super important. But anyway, I just like, we couldn't like let this go without being like, and how amazing were you this year? Okay.
Thank you. Thanks, coach.
I could already, I mean, it's cool to see your guys' like relationship and like banter back and forth. And it's also cool that you mentioned like our journal feature, which was like an OG feature we did way back in the day. So I'm curious, Hansson, like, what has it been like for you on like the consumer end, like client end, to see like where we were at in the beginning versus like we've gotten so advanced with like our tech and like our app and, you know, all of these features. So like, what has that been like for you to really be with us from the very beginning and see like what has evolved?
Well, so when the app first came out, like Callie was like, "Oh, do you want to try the app and just see how it goes and we can shift you to the app?" And I was like, "Okay, cool, let's try it." It was really cool because with the initial version, it was only available on a computer. And so I would have to like schedule in time to sit down and type my things out. And it was good because I'd make the time to do it and I'd have to sit down and talk to Callie. But now it's a little bit faster, and like I can hit Callie up anytime and she'll hit me back. You know, like the journals were like a long form kind of situation. And, you know, Callie had like, I think it was like 48 hours or whatever to respond. And it would be like a long form response. Whereas like the app now just makes it like so much easier to get in touch. And it also, I think with journals, I kind of had the habit of like dwelling on things. So I'd like journal about all these dramas. And now I'm just like, oh, this just, you know, I don't even need to tell Callie about this, or like I've moved through it or whatever. So I can just like ping her on the app, and like, it's a much faster kind of process, you know, like it's just way faster.
Yeah, I love that.
And I just love the app and the design and everything. I mean, aesthetically, it's beautiful.
Well, I think you kind of helped me with that too. I mean, I would always ask my clients to be like, okay, what do you think about this? What do you think about this?
Yeah, I'd be like, put this back button, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, everyone helped me.
For
sure. Everyone helped me beta test it. But my girls, like my, you know, little clique, I was like, okay, what do you think about this color palette? What do you think about this? Is this too feminine? Is this are we going away from what we are too much? And be like, yes, no, don't like.
No, I loved it. I love it. It's so good. It's so helpful. And also just because like living in New York, like pre-pandemic, I'm on the go. Like I am on the go. I was like pre-pandemic, I was like dancing 6 classes a week. I worked a job. I had an Airbnb. I was doing this. I was doing that. Like I was on the go. So I didn't always, like sometimes I'd have to message Callie, you know, on like with the previous computer app and be like, oh, I'm not gonna like be here to like take the thing. I'm gonna have to take it from my phone somewhere. And then I'd be like logging in on the website from my phone instead of just like, you know, going straight into the app. So it's made it super easy and convenient for me.
I will never forget you being like, can I take it? And you were biking. And I was like, I'm not,
oh, yeah.
no. I was like, what if she gets a hit? I was like, I'm freaking out. She's in
I live in New York. We multitask all the time here. This is a multitasking city.
Oh my God. I almost had a heart
attack. One walk down a street in New York and you can hear people, like many people are like spilling very personal information to someone on the other end of a phone. It happens all the time.
Oh my gosh, Hansson, think about like, what was this? Like last week or 2 weeks ago, I've been having like major internet problems, and Elise is also in on this. It's been like the bane of my existence. And so I knew that I could message him. So I was like, all right, I'm in LA, you're in New York. Do you want to walk and talk? And spent an hour long where we both were walking around the block.
Yeah, it was
and like randomly there'd be like a siren.
Yeah,
like
someone, a cat call.
Yeah, a cat call. It was like, it's fine. It's fine.
And then your actual cats that were like, that saw you outside and were like, meow.
Yeah, she goes, is that your child?
I was like, is that your child?
Yes, it's my child.
So good.
Anyway, it's these long-term.
It's come a long way.
Yes, exactly. They allow you this flexibility. They allow you this like, you know, dropping the guard a little bit and able to really connect. And like, there's no time wasted. There's no, okay, like, how was your week? Da-da-da. It's like, oh my God, I can't can you believe this bullshit? I'm like, I can't. Let's
dive straight in, shall we?
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Okay. So Hansson, what would you say you like most about Blush? Like what's like your favorite thing about the process or just about coaching in general?
You know, it's just the consistency. you know, like every month it rolls over and I'm like, right, I'm gonna, like, I book everything in advance for the month. I schedule it into my calendar, and I know that it's going to be there and it's consistent. And then if anything pops up in the interim, I can like hit her on the app and we can, you know, go over it or whatever. But like, it's really just the consistency, because I've had this now for so long that this is just a part of my process. And so even when, you know, when things, you know, like we all try to stay away from the drama, but like in the quieter months, you know, we're focused more on like my art and, you know, my music and all this kind of stuff, instead of like, help me with this relationship or help me with this friendship, or like, you know, I think like, yeah. And also even just the growth of it too, like to be able to look back and, you know, like before the previous website was pulled, Kelly was like, make sure you get all your journals if you want to like reflect back on anything. And I went through them all and I had a look and I was like, no, I don't need to save any of this. Like I can look back on it and see that there's growth and see how much I've evolved and stuff that I wouldn't have clocked back then. Like I clock so much easily now. And yeah, I think that's really like what it is. It's the consistency and the growth, you know? Yeah.
I love
that. She's on the video plan and the chat plan, which a lot of
yeah.
my girls, I think what was unique about Blush is that I do try and keep the video session entry membership pretty affordable, because I know that a lot of other companies out there don't do that, and you have to like pay a certain amount before you can actually see someone face to face. So I was like, okay, I want to make this accessible. I don't think it needs to be a luxury to see, you know, to actually talk real time. So it's more the opposite. It's more like most people actually do video sessions on Blush. And so she was one of the more unique ones that would also write. And so when we did unlimited chat, it was just so perfect, because I think you actually bumped up your video sessions. You were like, actually, like, let's talk more. And then that's what she does. She updates me. So it's really like she's dropped a huge music video, and like I got to go in and all she has to do is ping, and I'm like, you know, I'm like,
yeah, because even for like stuff that I'm working on, I'll hit Callie up on the app and be like, hey, I've just written this, or I've just can you just take a look for me, or like check out this video that I've just, you know, because sometimes like I need others when you're working on stuff intensely, like it's really hard to like step back and look at it objectively. So I have a few people that I send stuff to, and yeah, I'll be like, Callie, can you check this out for me? Do you have a second?
Right. But like we don't want to waste video session time on me, you know, critiquing or talking about her work, when it's like, you know, I'm not trying to hold myself out as a music expert by any means. So it's great when she can just hit me up in the chat and I'd be like, yeah, like I can definitely take 5 minutes right now, look it over, give you my gut reaction. If this is helpful, awesome. If it's not, this is the one time I would say you can ignore me. It's fine.
Yeah. But no, we have a really good relationship in that sense. We really do. And I trust Callie with like sending this stuff to her. You know, I've never felt like I couldn't send anything through, or that I couldn't like bring up a topic or discuss something. Yeah.
And it's cool that there's like that parallel, right? Like your music is like your baby, and Callie's someone that you go to for like feedback and guidance and just opinions. And when Callie, you know, was making all these advancements and transitions with Blush, like you were one of so it's cool that it's like this parallel process, and you guys it's so obvious that you guys both play big roles in each other's lives, which brings me to the next question. Like, how would you, and I want you both to answer this, but like, how would you describe your relationship with Callie and then vice versa with Hansson?
I would say that there's just like a truckload of mutual respect and love. You know what I mean? Like, Callie's a businesswoman, I'm a businesswoman. Like, you know, we like there's like a mutual thing here. You know what I mean? It's very like, yeah, I don't even know how else to describe it. Like, it's just very mutual and very respectful, and there's a lot of like care and empathy towards each other. Yeah.
I agree. It's very much more meeting of equals, which is that's what happens, right? If when you join and you stay on for years at a time, the relationship evolves. Like I totally understand that a lot of times in therapy or maybe other coaches, like there's always going to be that power dynamic where one is the expert and one is not. And while I do always try and make sure that she leaves every session with something to think on, something to reflect on, something to do, it's not like it's just us just chit chatting, right? Like I still make sure that I show up and work, but it does evolve into where it's like, am I the expert? And I'm kind of looking at her. I'm like, you know what I'm about to say. I know you know.
But it's also just like, you're a mirror, right? Like, and we've talked about that before. Like, I'll be like, all right, Kat, and it's the thing of like being in it and being, you know, trying to piece together things and maybe overthinking it a little bit and taking like, and going, all right, Callie, like da 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 da, blah, 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 blah. And Callie's like, all right, so this is what I'm hearing. It's this, that, and da 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 da.
Yeah.
You know, and then I'll be like, oh wow, like the clarity.
Totally. I do have to remind some of my clients that I'm like, I don't have a dog in this fight. You know, like I want what you want. And if you decide you don't want something anymore, it's not like I'm going to be like, it's just, I only push when I'm like, I don't think you're being clear with yourself. You know what I mean? Like I'm hearing isn't adding up to what you're doing or what you're saying or whatever. So it's fun to be like, I am just a mirror. Like I do stuff, but like it's really you that are like, I didn't drop a music video. Like I didn't do the best cover ever. She did a cover of Steal My Sunshine and oh my God, I play it like at some point my husband was like, Callie,
Thank you.
Play any other song.
I love that song so much. I love that song.
It's her originals are incredible too. She has an album that she released. Oh my gosh, what year was that released?
Last year, like a year ago.
Okay, this is the problem. I mean, it's just 2020.
But it was like 2 years of building it. Like,
right.
It was like a good 2 years of building and like piecing together all these songs and stuff like that. And then November last year we put it out.
So it was fun being a part of it, but it's also fun. And this is what's unique about our relationship is a lot of times I don't get to be there to experience the result. I get to hear about it and I get to think that it's cool. And I'm like, oh, do you have any pictures? You know, like, please.
You gotta check out her Instagram.
Yeah, I know. And I'm like, can I look at your profile public? I mean, I am like so nosy. But with Hansson, it was like she released it and I was like, it's on Spotify. I was like, I get to put this stuff on my playlist and listen to it. And like her music is so good. I mean, honestly, that's also fun. It's very much my taste. It's very much my speed. It's like what I would be listening to anyway. But then I get to be like,
thank you.
I know who this song is about.
Yes. Yeah, you definitely would know all that.
I know what every song is about it. I'm like, yeah, listen to her. Yeah. It's clearly have a blast.
I love that. I love that so much. So that kind of brings me into like the next question. So how would you say that like life coaching has impacted like your career as a musician and an artist and just like your life in general, I guess too, but I'm just curious.
It really is like, it really is just me being in it and then not being able to kind of process what is happening or what I'm trying to do, or like, you know, I get so caught up in certain things, maybe not as much these days, but like leading up to the album a year ago, you know, there was just so much stuff going on and I could sort of go to Callie and be like, all right, da 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 da, and Callie's like, okay, so it's this, it's that, and da, da. Like, you know, Callie would really help me simplify stuff too, which was really helpful. Like, I tend to like, I mean, I have a lot of thoughts, I have a lot of feelings, I have a lot of ideas, and blah blah blah. And Callie will be, you know, she'll help me kind of put things into containers. That's really like if I could describe this as one sentence, it's Callie helps me put things into containers.
Oh wow,
that's really it, right?
Considering I'm so not organized, that's so cool. I think I have one comment on that because I'm going to say I do think that a lot of our coaching over the years was a lot of pushing you to trust yourself.
Yeah.
And pushing you and in a way become more confident. Like, you know, she's done a lot of the work. So this new direction that she's going in, right? Colors of the Fall, she did a lot of work for, right? It's a gorgeous album. It's incredible. But then it kind of clicked too that she's like, okay, this is a masterpiece and it's amazing, but I can also do this very much on my own too. Like she still has her inner circle. It's not like she was like, goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. But so much of the work that she's putting out right now is just her. Like she's in there tinkering with the video editing. She's in there, she's writing the song, she's recording everything. She's like got a producer that she works with who is absolutely incredible, but she's doing, from what I'm seeing, you're doing so much work and getting your hands even dirtier than you did last time.
Yeah, I'm doing my own publicity this time as well.
Oh, I forgot about that. You're doing your own publicity because she's realizing like, and I think some of our work too is like people aren't always experts. Like don't trust right off the bat that everyone else is an expert when you do have some baseline knowledge and you're talented. And if you just like decide that you can do it, you can. And
yeah,
so
I just kind of went, all right, I'm taking this back to basics. Like I'm doing that. And even with, I mean, I was, you know, the inspiration for this whole drop was like watching artists like Russ and stuff who were just consistently putting out music. And I'd gone to Callie and said, this guy Russ is doing this crazy thing. Like he's putting out music like every week. And I'm like, I've got like so many fucking songs written. Like I could just put stuff out like constantly. And then Callie was like, well, like, what are you doing? Like, let's go. So I took the idea to my producer and I was like, dude, this is what we're going to do. No more big projects. Like, we're just going to do like a song every 2 weeks on the full moon and on the new moon. Like, this is so me. This is so what I do. This is so who I am. I'm such a like hippy dippy weirdo, but also like, I don't follow the traditional shit anyway with this music industry stuff. Like, why wouldn't I just put music out on the full and new moon? And that was like, and then it spiraled into this whole project. And it was also, it was part, I don't have the budget to continue like hiring externally because of COVID and everything like that. So it was like, all right, well, what skills can I build up for myself and what can I do? And Callie was like, well, like, you've just got to get your hands dirty and do it, you know? And I was like, well, I don't even know if I could do like my own publicity, or I don't even know, like I had to really go back and like relearn some of these skills that I already, like I had them previously, but they just kind of disappeared, or I didn't think like, you know, like you're supposed to hire a professional video editor, you're supposed to da-da-da. And I was like, no, I can do this. Like I can wrap my head around this tech stuff and sending off emails. Like it's not that hard. And also just the, you know, just the impetus to like ask like, hey, I need some help with this, which I don't do. I don't ask for help. So it was like hitting up people that I knew were experts, or hitting up people that I knew had more knowledge and being like, hey, can I like get a little bit info on this stuff, or can you help me with this stuff? And then, you know, so it ended up like I've edited my first 2 videos and I'm conceptualizing the next video to shoot. And we just got, you know, a premiere of one of the videos today, and it's on me. It's on me.
It's you, and it feels like you, because you finally started embracing like, yeah, I'm a little witchy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like, this is me. And so the music feels so much like you. And it's not that past music hasn't, it's just like something is clicking. And I think that's a result of you feeling more confident, but also you just knowing who you are to the bone. Quarantine really sorted that out, because I've been here by myself and I've been recording in that wardrobe right there with that microphone right there, and every day. And I was up at 5 a.m. I'd meditate, and then I'd write a song. Like every day I was doing like hashtag songs before sunrise, and I would just like write a verse and a chorus every day of a different song. And then I was just building up so much that I was like, all right, I've got to start putting stuff out, because I can't sit on this many songs at once and like, you know, let it just sit there. Like I have stuff to say, and, you know, I have found my voice during the quietness of this quarantine. And yeah.
That's so cool. I just think you're so cool. I like love all like just your story and just like this whole process. Like I think it's just so badass, and just like what everybody I think hopes for in life is to just find themselves, find their voice, have the confidence to like show up in the world as their like true authentic self, and just like get after it. And that's exactly what you're doing, which is like just so cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Not for the faint of heart, that's for sure.
Yeah.
No.
So what are you two like currently working on right now in like your work together?
I mean, I think a lot of the work has been empowering her to realize she is smarter and more talented and more ambitious and more creative than she even thinks she is. And it's not that you know, Hansson has a low self-esteem by any means, right? We're not sitting here going, let's get from rock bottom to normal. It's that he's at a healthy level. And I'm like, okay, but you're a
let's
rock
go.
star.
Like, come on,
so,
let's
like,
go. Like,
let's start acting like one, and
yeah.
like, don't be afraid to take over things that you're not happy with. Like,
yeah.
if you're outsourcing something, and you know, the big lesson is no one is ever going to care as much as you do, especially if you're an artist or a businesswoman or anything. It's like, you can't expect the same level of enthusiasm from other people unless they're like really in it with you. And that's so hard to find. So just like, stop waiting on them to care as much. And why don't, like, girl, you got it down. Like, I know you can. Why don't you
it's really been about that. Hey, because it was like, all right, how do I want this project to look and feel? And I just really wanted it to feel like me, you know. And I said to my producer the other night, like, we had a meeting, and I said to him, dude, I'm so pumped for this. Like, I feel like I'm 15 again. Like, I feel like 15-year-old Tam would just be like, yeah, you go, girl. Like, that's how it feels. And he gave me this quote. The quote was like, the creative, what was it? It's like the creative, oh man, I can't even remember it now.
You sent it to me, and it was something about the creative child shows up as the something adult. Like, it was like,
it was like, yeah, the creative adult is the child that never died or something.
Yes.
And it was something like that. And he like made me read it at dinner, and I just started crying, because I was like, oh my God, like, this is what it feels like now. Like, I don't, you know, I'm not sitting here going, oh, like, when is it going to happen for me as an artist? Like, it is happening, bitch. Like, fucking let's go. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, like, I've got to wait for everybody else's approval. No. I am the approval, bitch. Like, let's get it. You know, this is my video. I edited it. I put those loaves of bread in that video. Like, I was the one that drove out to a llama farm and shot a video. Like, you know, it wasn't like a team of people going, all right, we want Hansson to do this, or no. And not that the first album felt like that, but I definitely had a lot of like hands and people and things like that. And so it was like I was trying to take everything on at once and, like, you know, put out this body of work, and I'm so proud of it. But this time around, like, it just feels like it's coming from me being super authentic. I'm more myself than I ever have been in my life. Yeah, that's how it feels.
That's so special. I feel like that's just so amazing, and it's just really cool.
Thank you. It just feels so good. Like, I really, you know, like, this year has been hell in so many aspects, in so many ways, you know, and it's been a struggle not to be able to go back and see my family. Like, I haven't been back to Australia in nearly 2 years. And, you know, I'm communicating with my family every day on our family chat. We're all sending photos and stuff like that. But the fact that I've been able to, like, connect with myself more makes it okay.
Yeah.
You know, it's really like, all right, well, if I can't see my family, like, at least I feel the most myself I ever have in my life.
Yeah. You're still connected. You're still integrated, because you're doing so much work here.
Yeah. That's how it feels.
So
thanks, Callie.
It's how it looks, and it's how it sounds too.
I love that. Okay, I think we have like one more question. So, who would you say, since you've been like an OG Blush client for like all the years, who do you think would be like the best candidate for Blush and just like the life coaching process?
Oh, wow. I've actually, like, sent a few people over to Blush, and it's normally people who are just trying to work through stuff, you know, like, if you're trying to work through, whether it's personally or professionally, I think it's really, if you're willing to open up and dig deep into yourself, like, and or you want to examine yourself, or you want to, like, you know, dig into stuff, I think, like, Blush is a good place to start. You know, it's not, like I was saying, like, it's not heavy therapy or anything like that. You can take heavy stuff to it, but it's really like, all right, let's get down to it. Like, what's up? Let's go, you know? And it feels like, you know, like, at this point I would call Callie a friend, you know, like, it feels like I can go to Callie and be like, hey, like, da 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 da, you know, I feel like I could talk to Callie like a friend. And I really appreciate that. You know, it's not Callie going, all right, what's up? All right, how did you get this done this week, Hansson? Right, tell me what you've done. You know, it's not like,
oh, can you imagine? You'd be like, unsubscribe. Unsubscribe.
Yeah. Oh, you're breaking up. Bye. Shut down. No, it just feels, there's like a casual feeling to it. You know, it's not this heavy burdening thing. It's very cool and casual, and like, and it's helpful. Like, it's just cool to talk stuff out, you know, like I have so many friends that like bottle stuff up, and I'm like, you should talk to someone about that.
That's also been a little bit of work. It's like, hey, Hansson, you're not everyone's free therapist.
Yeah, so, like go talk to someone, not me.
Doing that anymore. I mean, I think on that, like, so much of Blush's success is also surrounding the people who come to us. And so, you know, if you want to get a lot out of Blush, you have to put a lot into Blush. And that's something that Hansson did from the start. She was like, well, I'm just going to put it all out there. And you know,
I was writing lists. I would type notes when I would sit down, I'd be typing notes. Callie and I would be talking, and I'd be like, hang on, say that again. And I'd
say that again. You still do that.
I do that a lot. I do that a lot still. I'd be like, wait, say that again.
Say that again.
What's that? Say that again. Yeah, no, because I really like, I am here to like put in work, and I am here to like better myself. And so that's really, you know, I appreciate the help, because I've never really asked for, like I was saying, I've never really asked for help with anything. So to have Callie being like, all right, well, here's the way to go about this, or here's the way I would approach it. And, you know, to like get that feedback and that mirror and, you know, that the right wording. Say that again.
Oh,
like
yes.
It all like,
we have written emails together before, and sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, it's just some things are very important, and you need input on it.
Yeah, no, because I just don't know how to like do some things sometimes, and I'll be like, Callie, can you say it again, and I'm talking about. But that's just how I operate. Like, that's how this relationship operates too. You know, it's been great. It's been so helpful.
And I think one thing that also makes it a little different too is that, you know, as I was saying earlier, like in general, I think a lot of people are drawn to Hansson, and they like her energy, and they like her feedback, and they like her spirit. And so, you know, if she were maybe to rely on a lot of people, I think she's got to protect her energy, and a lot of people come to her for everything. And so then all of a sudden she's weighted down with all these people who need everything from her. And she's like, wait, this isn't even reciprocal anymore. Like, this is getting weird. This is getting heavy. I don't have the energy for this. I need to be focusing on my music or focusing on these people. And so what's great about Blush, if I do say so myself, but it's that she's never going to be worried that I'm going to like come back and be like, okay, well, can you do this for me? It's like, that's not how this works, right? She is allowed to talk about everything that she wants. We focus on her. I self-disclose when it's necessary. And of course, we got to the point where she's called us friends, and she does know a lot about me. It's not like I'm this like safe and she knows nothing, and it's, you know, this completely unrelatable relationship. But at the same time, she knows that I will always protect her, and I'm not going to make sure that I violate her boundaries, right? I'm not going to hit her up in an inconvenient time when she needs to be concentrating. And so it's this safe space where she can process and get what she needs done without that like mental threat of me coming for her.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's important. I mean, especially for women, like, we are natural helpers. We are people who want to connect and offer advice and support or whatever guidance to other people. But like,
yeah.
You know,
even my personality shifting. Like, I came to Callie thinking I was like ENFP, and then I went from that to INFP, and then to INFJ. And then I was like, oh, wow. Like, I really don't need, you know, to be as social to feel included. You know, like, I can feel included and not be out all the time, and I can feel good about myself spending more time alone. And like that, all of that, and Callie like helping me navigate all that was so helpful. Like, it shifted a lot in me personally in how I deal with things now. Yeah. Definitely.
It's been so much to just watch this like progress and evolve. there's been just so much evolving with
Yeah.
both of us.
You'd hope so after 6 years, honestly. Like, you'd really hope so after 6 years.
Fair, but I still think it's
because we started with Tequila Shot. That was a guy I dated.
Not.
Callie gives
that
nicknames.
Is an inside joke. It is fine, and I do give nicknames because I'm like, we don't need to mess around with this human being anymore. So I'm naming that person this so that you stop. Right. And so every time you think of this person, you think about the nickname, which is not just a nickname. It holds significant meaning. It's always from a metaphor that we use.
Yeah. That's
shot.
where we started.
You can only imagine.
Tequila Shot.
I'm nosy as hell, so I'm going to be reaching out after this to figure out the story.
The
DMs, yeah.
Which brings us to social media. I feel like I'm your newest fangirl, Hansson. I just think you're so badass, like so cool, so well spoken, and just like cool. Like you're you.
Thank you. And you're cool, Elise. You're doing so much for Blush Online. I love it. I love seeing you pop up on my feed. I love it.
Thank you.
You're doing great work.
Tell us like what we can expect from you from an artist standpoint. Like I'm like excited. I watched your first video today and I'm like ready for more, okay?
Just so much more. Like I'm dropping a song every 2 weeks, like, and a video. Okay. Yeah. So it's just going to be like for the next 6 months, like I just decided this year I'm making music my job. I don't care. Like I'm making this my full-time job, so the way to do that is to just put out, be consistent with your work. So I took it to my producer and I was like, all right, dude, this is what I want to do. And he's like, are you sure? And I'm like, yep, let's go. And he's like, are you sure? And I'm like, yep. And then we loaded in the first track and he's like, are you sure you want to do this like every 2 weeks? And I'm like, yep. And he's like, are you sure? I'm like, yep.
Yes.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
So
where can
song
everyone
every 2
find
weeks.
you?
You can find me on Instagram. She is Hansson. Hansson is with 2 S's, O-N. And I'm on Spotify, iTunes, all that kind of stuff. Twitter. I talk a lot of shit on Twitter, so you can find me there.
You do. Oh my gosh. Ultimate shit talker on Twitter.
I don't know. I just like Twitter. It's a nice outlet for me. I just have so many thoughts, so that it's just good to get them out somewhere.
You should have seen me. I was trying to take photos for something that we have to post on our Join Blush account later. And I was like, Elise, do you see why this is why I like Twitter. It's just words. It's words. Yeah. It's fun. Twitter is for so many smart people, and I learned so much. And Hansson,
you learn so much. You learn so much on Twitter.
I love so much. This is my
at on Twitter as well. She is Hansson. Yeah. And she is Hansson.com. I'm everywhere. You can't miss. Mm-hmm. You'll have to do a lot of blocking if you don't want to hear these new songs because I'm going to be everywhere.
Everyone wants to hear these new songs. I never want to hear that again.
Yeah.
It's just so cool. Thank you so much for
Thank you for having me
and sharing your story. I just love it so much. This is like what Blush is about, so it's just really cool for people to be able to see like an insider perspective of like what your experience was like, how much growth you've gotten out of the process, and
so much
cool to see like your relationship with Callie. Obviously it's super special and you guys are very important.
It is. I'm so grateful. Thank you. And thank you, Callie. There's always love here.
All right. Well, I hope you have a good weekend, and I'll be here following all of your pages and your biggest fangirl now. I'm just so excited.
Thank you. Yep, December 14th. No Drama Llama.
Woo, no Drama Llama. Oh my God, I'm so pumped. I love this one.
December 14th.
So
yep.
So good.
All right.
No drama.
Thank you for having me.
Bye.
Bye.